what do you call?
Meeting will come to order. This is the meeting of the City Council Rules and Government Relations Committee. The date is September 13th, 2019, times 5:30 p.m. Do we have any minutes?
I actually started April 2nd's minutes.
Okay.
And I started July 2nd's minutes.
All right,
But
well,
they're not ready to be presented.
you're less behind
We're
than
gonna
I
have to
am
have
on
another
property,
meeting, so they will
yeah.
be ready for that meeting.
Perfect. Great. So, given that there are folks here to talk about the nuclear thing, should we start with that?
Yeah, let's do that.
No, we don't. You know, I guess don't have to sit around as we talk about municipal light plants. And other
Might learn
things.
something, but
Yeah, you're welcome to stick around.
That's for me. I presented this resolution from Mary
Mary Sarah.
and Sarah, who asked me to do it. There was some give and take regarding divestment language, which I felt was would delay it a great deal and might involve the retirement board, and I didn't want to get into that divestment. So you guys should know that I was opposed to that language, because she wanted Easthampton should divest of all defense, whatever, dealing with nuclear, whatever that language was. And divestment means, if we were to put that resolution on, it would require a retirement board to look into that, so I felt uncomfortable with that at this point.
And was that because the retirement board is broader beyond the boundaries of Easthampton?
No, but they are one of the few boards that has a huge retirement fund that invests in order to fund it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we were to put that kind of language in, we would be asking them to do a great deal of work regarding divestment, and I didn't want to delay this action, nor was I necessarily in favor of that. I think this action alone is significant and enough. So I just wanted the other councilors to know that that language was removed from.
And Mary knows that, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
She and I debated it for a while, so.
All right.
Is it still open to debate?
Yeah, sure, we can.
I won't vote for it if we put it in.
Okay.
So you're allowed to try and convince me, but I just feel that that kind of language isn't necessary for what Easthampton can do right now.
Okay, well, I have a couple of pieces of information that might help you,
Okay.
that Mary might not have known. One is that we have, we're not talking about all military, we're talking about 26 or 28 specific companies. So it's finite, it's not like divesting from, something that has thousands of companies involved.
Here it is.
So it's only currently between 26 and 28.
You're
companies.
Vicky, right?
I'm Vicky. And the other piece of information, because we've been doing this with other cities, the other piece of information is that we have a financial consultant whose name is Nick Cantrell from Thompson Financial, who's happy as a public service to help cities tease apart this stuff. He's good at going through investments with a fine-tooth cybercom and pulling that stuff out. He's done quite a lot of work on that already. So that's a resource that's available. So that's just two pieces of data for you.
Okay.
and also key to the language in a lot of cases is that there's a clause that says to the extent possible.
Right.
So,
I-
leaving it up to the discretion, of course.
I do remember
Yeah.
that, and that left the door open for it. But on the other hand, I worried that the mayor and other members of the council would say, wait a minute, what does this mean to our retirement board or any other investments? So we would have to investigate that, we would have to deal with that, and I didn't want to delay the action on it because I thought the rest of it was powerful.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah.
point.
My one thing is if we're gonna, I've never heard of this city council instructing our retirement board or any other sort of
We
asset
don't have any
management.
authority either. We could say, don't do
Right.
it, and they say, well, too bad, we're not gonna do that.
That's
So
the
that
big
gets us
thing
on
is-
a
yeah.
wrong side with a very important board that we don't necessarily want to be on the wrong side of.
I mean, I just don't even know what our authority, if any, is in that situation.
Well, we have to approve their budget.
Well, sure, but yeah, I don't know the degree of independence they have. There's just a lot of questions, you know.
Well, that might be something to investigate at a later date.
That yeah, I mean, if that's something that you guys would really like to see, then
Let me
that's-
say that if this goes really further, and it becomes a statewide thing, say.
So be it that
Doors
way.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Baby steps.
that's one of the wonderful things about Easthampton participating, is that we have a public hearing for our two state bills on September 24th.
Mhm.
And if we go to,
Are they state bills, are they resolutions, or are they actual
they're to
legislation?
form a citizens commission to investigate what it would be like for the state to divest.
Okay, that's important.
There are copies.
They're the same, there's one's House, one's Senate.
There you go. That's good.
Yeah, Lindsay Sabadosa and Jill Comerford are championing those for us, and I think they're gonna do well. We've met with most of the members of the Veterans and Foreign Affairs Committee, and it's looking good. So to be able to.
It's just a committee. It's not
Yeah.
legislation to actually divest. It's a
Right.
committee to investigate.
It's just to investigate.
How will it affect our budget? and everything.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And we think it's prudent for the state because nuclear weapons are an industry that is going away. Eventually, with the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons entering into force as international law soon. We thought it would have already, but it's definitely moving towards that. So, it's an industry that's going away, and for the state to look at what are the jobs that are involved in that are going to be affected, and can those jobs be converted, for example, to green technologies to address the climate crisis, that's forward thinking that we think is prudent for the state.
Well, that's great, because that puts it in a different place, in a more powerful place.
Yeah. No, we're not asking them to spend money or do anything too fancy at the moment.
No, but if this helps get that committee
Yes.
established, then that's worth doing.
Exactly.
That's what I meant
Well, this
about
would be a
the-
help. We passed non-binding resolutions in 6 towns?
7.
7 towns. Northampton is on board already. And if we could say Easthampton was also on board, that would be just lovely. So, yeah, this is
Okay, well.
saving the world stuff, which is good.
So just one thing I wanted to say. Councilor Coniff had written me an email that she had asked me to read into the record about
Okay.
this, so I just wanted to do that before we deliberate too much more. I have copies for you.
You don't have to give me a copy.
It's in the thing.
Actually, if you could send me an email.
It's right here.
No, the point I'm trying to make is,
Uh-huh.
then I could cut and paste it into the minutes.
Oh, yeah, I can totally do that, but it's right here in the
All right,
meantime.
let me read it.
Okay,
Was
so
there
it
another
says.
copy for them, or?
No, that's why I was asking if we should make copies for
All
them.
right, go ahead.
All right. It says, Councilor Peak, I am unable to attend the next Rules Committee meeting on September 13th, so I'd like to submit my comments to you in writing. If you could please include them as part of the record on September 13th, I would appreciate that. The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons creates an international agreement to eliminate nuclear weapons entirely. In order to go into effect, this treaty will require signatures and ratification from 50 countries. To date, 70 countries have signed on, and 26 have ratified the treaty. The United States has neither ratified nor signed on to this important treaty, stating they will not sign, ratify, or ever become party to it. It is my personal belief that nuclear weapons make countries, and therefore the entire world, less safe by their very existence. The destruction they cause is catastrophic, and the humanitarian toll is incalculable. While these are my beliefs, I also understand my role as an elected representative for the people of Easthampton is to focus on issues that directly impact this community. This resolution may create a greater burden on the city due to 2 components. One, whenever possible, the city of Easthampton will take steps so that no Easthampton finances are invested in the production or supply of materials for nuclear weapons, both current and in the future. And 2, no work on nuclear weapons or products or materials for producing nuclear weapons will take place in the city of Easthampton. She continues, even if the resolution is passed, adherence to these policies will leave questions about who will oversee this and how it would be managed. This could add a layer of bureaucracy to an already resource-strapped city government, and not something I can support. If these sections are removed, I am open to support for this resolution. However, I believe a larger discussion may be needed on the purpose of resolutions in general, and specifically the parameters around these resolutions those resolutions to be considered by the city council. Thank you, respectfully, Peg Coniff, city councilor at large.
I left them in because I felt that the words were ever possible, but the door open to,
I guess I had somewhat same concerns. I don't, in that this is a resolution. I mean, typically they are for a support of either a particular bill or a concept in general. I don't think a resolution could ever uphold number 2. I mean, that's no work on nuclear weapons or products or material producing will take place in the city of Easthampton.
That would
I
be
don't think-
zoning, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a resolution has any authority to do
the
something.
resolution doesn't have any authority whatsoever,
You know,
it's an
I mean,
opinion.
You could say, we could change that to, you know, recommend or whatever, but to say this, a resolution would no way be able to make that law.
Would it be
That's what I'm saying.
a starting point, though, to begin a process of making changes to
Yeah, I mean,
zoning
I could
laws?
say we would recommend or whatever, but
Mhm.
for someone to read this, to make it sound like this resolution forbids, resolutions don't do that. I mean, there's,
Sure.
I mean, we pass things much less, serious than this that go through public hearings, the mayor signs on, we have legal reviews, so
Mhm.
to be able to say that in a resolution, we're going to put number 2 in, I mean, it could only be a recommendation, I don't think it could be something that would be binding.
I would be happy with words like city council recommends that nuclear weapons or products and
Yeah,
materials.
because I think all we can do is a resolution, we don't have the power
No,
to direct.
and it's important
As a
because
resolution, to
when
rec-
somebody reads this, like Joe said, the perception is we made a law, says you can't do it. Well, no.
So are you suggesting taking out the word resolution?
No, I'm
No, no,
taking
no.
out the
Okay, just
word.
putting in recommendation.
Right, kind of just saying, this is a resolution.
Okay,
And
but-
resolutions typically
All right,
have no
just wanna make
legal
sure.
binding.
I know, yeah.
So, number 2 makes it sound like we are saying the city, this, by agreeing to this, they can't do this, but resolutions don't have that authority,
Right,
so.
I don't have that in front of me, but, okay. I'm just wondering if you just put up, where is the,
The very bottom, number 2.
oh, the really bottom.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Peg is aware that there is a
Surprised, actually.
benefit to this, in that there is bills being considered at the state level in which they're looking at actual action the state can do about divestment and things.
Right.
So this resolution has some capability of getting action done. It's not like it's just pie in the sky, we hope that we'll know. It actually has
Yeah.
legs on it.
Yeah.
That's why I like it. And if that's information I didn't have until just now.
To that end, I would frankly be more, I mean, this is something that I've been thinking about since Peg sent me this email a lot, is what exactly is where is the time and place where we should be using resolutions? I'd be very in favor of resolutions saying, we support this bill, right? The sort of narrowly focused, because that would go out to Senator Humison and Rep. Carey, who really care about what we have to say, unlike, for example, the President of the United States has probably never heard of Easthampton in the first place. I'm not opposed to passing this, but I just think that I see her point about
Oh, yeah.
where,
But I
about
don't-
maybe
as I
us
said,
thinking more about it.
Now that I'm aware of this,
Yes.
I don't think we have to change the bill, maybe put that recommendation language in. But this by itself will tell our representatives that we are serious about, let's look at this.
And Humison is on the committee that our state bill is going to.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's especially useful.
And it's important to note that the bills, the correct numbers for the bills, in the language right now of the resolutions, the numbers are the drafted numbers. The current numbers are these.
Are these right here?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Can I get those numbers?
Because those should be up to date, sure.
All right, can you email me these documents so I can send them to the council?
Certainly. What is your email?
Dan Rist, drist at easthamptonma.gov,
Okay, Easthampton Committee.
DRIST.
So, how would you just brainstorming here? How would you feel about substituting this block of text down here that I don't really think we have the power to enforce for a block of text saying, be it resolved that the Easthampton City Council supports H 3239 and S 2157?
Well, these two here,
Yeah.
I would be okay with that. I want to keep this, the second half language, that
Yep.
even though it deals with the, well, it deals with the federal government, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and, you know, federal leaders, but I don't want to take that out of it, this thing here. But if we had took 1 and 2 out and substituted language regarding the support of Senate Bill number 2157 and House Bill number 3239, I'm okay with that if it'll get it passed.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying, Joe?
I'm sorry,
Tom is thinking we get rid of 1 and 2 and we put in language, Easthampton should support Senate Bill number 2157.
well, there's already a paragraph on that, so we don't.
Where is it?
Yeah, it's the third paragraph.
Oh, wait, that's already in here. Yeah.
Oh, I apologize.
So, but we should swap those
Correct.
numbers out, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I have to say that Joe's convinced me that 1 and 2, what I worry about is a perception that we have this authority that we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We don't have the authority to tell people not to we don't even have the authority to tell the mayor not to finance, to do money, issues with the finances, so.
And to be honest, like with the amount of like aerospace and precision tooling and whatnot that goes on in the Pioneer Valley, I don't think we can even like say that we don't currently produce any, like it could be that
Small
one
parts.
of those
Small
tooling
parts.
parts
Yeah, but that
makes
doesn't
some
count.
screw
It
that
doesn't
goes.
matter.
That doesn't matter.
No, the
City.
treaty is about the companies that actually make the nuclear weapons, not about the companies that make the bits that go into those things. So I don't think that would make a difference here.
But I like what you said. They're investigating ways in which if we were to divest from these companies, what are the consequences of that divestment to our budget, to jobs, et cetera.
Mhm.
That's a kind of investigation that's important, because even though these companies in Easthampton may be producing small parts, it could be they lose a contract that costs Easthampton jobs. And if somebody's gonna make that kind of a decision, I'd like it to be made with a lot of research and let's find out what we can do in its place.
What did Tim say about that? He said that was not, do you remember what he said?
What did he say? I don't quite recall what he said. I think it was basically to your point though that like the parts that they're making. Well, no, I don't remember.
Yeah, there's nobody in Easthampton making nuclear weapons.
No, that's true, but there could be a company, I'm not sure where we are right now, but somewhat north, that is making parts. But I think,
But you don't have a
We have a tool and die
Raytheon.
company in Easthampton.
Yeah, but
might-
you don't have Raytheon, you don't have General
no,
Dynamics, you don't have Boeing.
So anyway,
You're
my
okay.
point is though, when I spoke with the mayor actually about this, she actually made the point, is that it would be an educational thing because it's, at some point, if people are making parts, they're going to be out of that business of making parts. And it'd be good to have a heads up, so that people know about this and know that they have to transform.
Well,
their
in this
businesses.
committee, I would imagine would be tasked to find out statewide
Mhm.
what companies are producing parts
Mhm.
for Raytheon or General, whoever they're, General
Right.
Dynamics.
General Dynamics,
And that would be good. Oh, Easthampton so-and-so's company does make these parts. We'd like to know that.
Mhm.
Yes, but I'm saying it'd be good for them to know too, like you'd be, in a sense, how can I put this, taking care of them as in a
Right.
strong advisory that you've got to change your business because in the future, plan for it, that sort of thing. And so it may encourage a sooner cooperation.
But all I'm saying is number 1 and 2.
Doesn't
Those-
that kind of take the meat out of it, excuse me, the meat out
Well,
of
the
it?
resolutions don't have much meat, that's the problem.
That's not the point, the meat of the message though. I'm not
But I
talking
mean,
about the power.
the meat is saying we can do something that we can't. I mean, that's.
So change that, but taking out.
Oh, so we can change it to recommend, we recommend, but we
Yeah,
can't tell
yeah,
them.
instead of what he was suggesting, which I'm saying. Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, or I'm quite honest, I'm fine with taking it out as well, but if the other people wanted, because I mean,
Would it be appropriate to say like, we recommend the city take steps to, in the future, explore this? Because it sounds like it's kind of you're saying it's moot to say it a resolution because it doesn't have teeth.
Right.
But if it is something that would be a worthy, like, it is at the state level, a worthy thing to explore in the future, would that have a place in this resolution?
I think the
Or
purpose
that
of
is-
this resolution has to be to support the state bills.
Well-
Number one.
Okay.
That's what I think. If getting this passed unanimously, which is important to me, take those two things out, we get it passed, because what you want to tell the state is, the rest of this is important, and we want that bill passed. I know you want more at the local level, but I don't want resistance. I want a unanimous resolution. It's 9 people. I'm in favor of removing 1 and 2. I'll make that motion.
Well,
I don't want to keep talking about it.
I just have one alternative idea.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess the most that I could possibly say is if we just made it clear that we're talking about us, we're the city council, we're part of the government. If we said, be resolved that the Easthampton City Council recommends that the city of Easthampton take steps to, right? That we're saying, because that would really be somebody else's job.
I don't know if that'll please Peg, if she might convince others not to vote for it.
Well,
And if I hear that, I'll just make an amendment. I'm happy that you put that in there, that's fine.
Okay.
But at the point of the resolution going up, if she makes an amendment to remove them, I support it, just to get it unanimous.
I think that makes sense, because to the extent that this does inform like our state lawmakers, it'll look better if it's unanimous. So if we have to entirely
And look,
cut
that's
it.
what my point is.
So could you do that? Could you have it, the wording he's suggesting, and then doing what you said as a change to get the unanimity?
Right, and I think under 2, no work on nuclear weapons, we recommend that no work.
Right.
We recommend under 2.
I think if we even just put it on this top line, like, let me just read this and see what you think, if
Okay.
this
Or even
makes,
a time
if this
limit.
sounds good. If we say, now therefore be it resolved that the Easthampton City Council recommends that the city of Easthampton take steps to align the city of Easthampton, we can probably just cut the of Easthampton out of it, to align the city with the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, such that wherever possible, the city of Easthampton take steps so that no Easthampton finances are invested in the production of or supply of or materials for nuclear weapons, both currently and in the future, and that no work on nuclear weapons or products or materials for producing nuclear weapons will take place in Easthampton. I feel like if we just put that, what we're saying is the city council is recommending that the city do this and this, rather than saying, be it resolved that the city will do this.
And I think we also have to change the numbers of the legislation.
Yeah.
It's also-
Why was it HD 3477 and SD 1688? Did they change it or something?
Yeah, when it was a draft,
It's the
Is that why
same
it's
thing
in
that
it?
happened with our legislative
Really?
petition. Like, it comes in as one thing, and then they kick it around and check it with the lawyers and whatnot, and then they'll often rename the draft that they've made
All right,
changes
well,
to.
if you could write up that and change these numbers, here, I'll give you
Okay.
these. And if you could send me these,
Yeah, I will.
all right?
Great, and I can.
And I'll,
send
and
it.
once you send it to all the counselors. But I move we,
Wait, no, there's 3 counselors here. So anyway,
I was just saying,
so I guess I would recommend to be in front of number 2, because when you only have recommend in front of your 1, then 2 sounds, I just would like to be clarified that we're recommending, these are 2 recommendations, not 1 is recommendation and 2. And then although you said it doesn't matter about supplying parts, that's really not how the sentence I read is interpreted. No work on nuclear weapons or products or materials for producing nuclear weapons will take place in the city of Easthampton. I know you're saying it doesn't, but it sounds like it does to me. So, I mean, I would like to change that so, no work on nuclear weapons will take place in the city of Easthampton. Because if some Italian guy is making bolts or making something, I know what you're saying, that someone told you differently, but boy, when it says no materials for producing, that's concerning to me that it could be interpreted as something like that.
and if you change it to recommend, is that,
I like recommend, and I would like to take out the products or materials, because if it was bolts or things like that.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, all right.
so you got that? We recommend no work on nuclear weapons will take place in the city of Easthampton. That's what, we're removing products or materials.
Just in case. there-
Yeah, so,
No work on nuclear weapons will take place.
and that the city council recommends that.
And I know Nicole had, that was what I was just trying to say a little bit before, she had a problem with that part.
There you go. So another reason to do it. It would be good if this went to the state with the city council and the mayor's support. So, okay. Let me make a motion.
Sure.
Make a motion that we approve the resolution as amended.
Second.
You're in charge.
All in favor?
I know, I chair a lot of committees, Tom, but.
Yeah.
So if you send that, I'll put it in the minutes once I get your copy. You're gonna take this
Mhm.
resolution and redraft it
Yep.
and send it to everybody, and the mayor, and maybe you can talk to Peg. Is she gonna be back on
I
Wednesday?
don't know, I know she just left again for Chicago this time, but I don't know
Well,
if she
anyway.
came back to be back in time for Wednesday.
I think our changes will placate people, but if I hear people can't vote on it, I'm gonna actually ask. If you're thinking of not voting on this for any reason, I'd like to know why. Because if we're trying to get the state legislatures to say yes to something, we need unanimity. I wanna make sure that we find out. And if these two things are preventing it, okay?
Thank
And
you.
again, the bills are to investigate the effects of divesting. Is that what the bill, is that what a
Just
committee?
disconnecting from the industry,
Okay.
yeah. 'Cause there's a lot of research and work.
There's a
that
tremendous
does go
amount of
on
work.
at
It
the
sounds like it's
state level.
money too, right? It has to be budgeted.
Sounds like-
Is it
yeah.
money?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to budget this committee? Well, there's
No, no, the committee
probably,
doesn't cost anything.
you're sure?
You don't
This is
know.
Citizens Committee.
Oh,
It says it's
okay.
true.
Well, if they get people like you, it'll get done.
Yeah.
If it's legislators, it'll never get done. All right, I'm sorry we couldn't be stronger, but
No, actually, I'm
that was
very
really
happy with the
helpful.
conversation.
Yeah, thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
And conversed, actually.
and I think we do a better job of looking at resolutions in some communities. They just say, oh yeah, it sounds good, stamp it and go forward. When
Could you tell
when
me the name of that community, because I want to go to that one. Actually, I don't know about those communities.
Did everybody that you've talked to go through it like this?
Well, I don't think it's that, this hasn't been that simple,
Okay,
you know.
all right.
But I'm not trying to play down this little, I don't want to sell your process in any way.
Well, there's
It's excellent.
Northampton was a process that took a while.
And, yes, absolutely,
There you
and it's a
go.
two-step
And,
process, so.
You know, but the town meetings almost all were unanimous.
So we doing migrants now?
But it wasn't rubber stamped.
Okay.
Amherst never
Might
wrote
as
rubber
well.
stamp. I'm sure everybody had something to
Oh,
say.
yeah.
Thank you, Vicki, for your help, because
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, if
Wednesday
any,
night, there will be a time during public speak, which you should speak to her, because this
Yeah.
isn't a public hearing thing. So
No.
the president will ask if you want to speak to
Right.
any of these
Right.
resolutions.
I won't be here, but will you?
Yeah, I'm gonna write down what I said earlier.
Great.
And Mary wants to come.
Not here, what are we
Oh,
saying?
yeah, Mary will be here too.
And Mary, right, that'll be very
Right.
helpful.
So there will be a space to comment, but it won't be, it's not a public hearing.
Do you want
She
to,
said.
oh, we should.
Yeah, you can speak about anything you want at the beginning when the public speak
Yeah.
happens.
It's called
Okay,
public speak
public speak,
time, yeah.
okay.
Will you be
Yeah.
coming then? Ben?
Yes.
But what you have
Yeah.
just
Most likely.
made Easthampton a little safer, because if any of those things goes up anywhere on the planet, it will affect
Oh,
Easthampton.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, it'll affect
So,
everywhere.
thank you.
Affect everyone.
Yeah, that's right, everywhere.
And
Bathroom
economically
won't help.
too.
One nuclear submarine could destroy the world.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You want to join the committee?
20.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I knew this.
Who is this
I
man?
have a lot of science background. I know about this too.
But you have to believe it, too.
Well, we could use your help, so if you
Yeah.
have spare time, just call.
Well, that Marky's got me now.
Oh, really?
He could use your help, that's.
After what I said when I just met him, he wants me to campaign for him.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
there you go.
What did you say?
No, we're on tape. So I don't want to make any comments right
Okay,
now.
all right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thanks a lot,
good night,
guys.
gentlemen.
Good night.
Okay.
Those are good things, guys. I have to admit, I didn't research it as much as you guys obviously did.
Well, Peg.
Well, I cut out a lot of divestment language.
Mhm.
I didn't
Yeah.
like that, and these two things I just didn't.
Yeah, well,
Think about them as much.
Subcommittees are for, just like sometimes, like, when I, especially with two, is like, I don't think we, even if we wanted to, we don't, without,
That would have to be zoning.
yeah, it would have to be a major thing, the public hearings, the legal review, and the mayor on board, and all those kind of things.
Planning board,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I just.
And I like the effect, wait a minute, what kind of jobs are we destroying for a very small effect? You know, I
Because there are
would,
kind of people who say, if there's anything that's job killing, which again, that's why I said, because he said no, but it says right there, products or materials. I'm thinking, some big person who produces something metallic that could be used, we can't, again, this wouldn't have enough teeth to do it anyway, but.
well, this can't do it, but at least we're recommending it, and that's if it comes from the state that state says somebody is doing this construction, this is what will happen, and this is what we can replace it.
Yeah.
We're talking years down the road.
I mean, when I heard Don Humison's on the committee, and he's gonna be on your side,
Wow.
do not think for an instant we'll be on your side.
Anyway, I'm sorry that
On tape.
Cynthia's not here.
Yeah, I mean,
I have no problem with the resolution, I mean, okay.
no, I mean, I agree with everything that's here. I do feel like for everything that I just said, there comes a point of sort of moral repulsiveness that I think it's worth just saying something, even if you don't think anyone's gonna.
But in this world, how many
I
more
know.
repulsive things are there?
But I think when Peg talks about the parameters for resolutions, the parameters that I like are supporting state legislation.
Me too.
Like, because this had the nuclear one had state legislation that we agree with, okay.
Right, or like a ballot question, like we do with the
If
yes
this
on
doesn't
three.
have it, and I think we could pass this, but I think that has to be stated, that if we're gonna pass a resolution, I mean, a resolution against this or against discrimination, of course we're against it. Do we have to say it a bunch of times? I mean,
Yeah.
well, the one that Owen did against guns, for instance. Is there state laws that we are supporting? I
Like,
think there was.
I don't think there was like a named, and maybe this is something, you know.
We should look into.
We should look into is actually writing a rule clarifying. But since we don't have one right now, and I don't disagree with anything here, I'm perfectly happy to move forward on it. I just think that, given that we've got, you know, often a pretty busy agenda, it might.
We used to have very few of these because people used to think, wait a minute, this is national stuff. We don't really have a lot of authority here. Why are we bothering? We have too much other stuff to deal with. And given how aggressive this council is, we have a lot of stuff to deal with.
Yeah,
And
that's
I,
true.
you know, I mean, my mind frame is completely different if I was running for re-election, because I'm somewhat problematic with these, because I truly don't think I am being paid by the city of Easthampton to use my time that they're paying me for to work on every problem in our world. That being said, I mean, then how do you say that and not come across as being like not uncaring? Of course, this is important to me, but is this the role of city government?
I think the caveat that it supports state legislation and that we could send it to all of our legislatures.
Yeah, but that's not here.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying,
Yeah.
that would be a nice rule. All right, I
Yeah.
move that we accept the resolution against abusive microchip.
Second, all in favor?
So here's language that Barbara did for question, because if we do this is the, by the way, this is the language for, that the marks put forward for all the,
Mhm.
and that number 4 she put in would be for the.
Yes. So you're way ahead of me. Well, I
Well,
was about to hand you some
she's way
stuff,
ahead
but
of
you've
you.
got some stuff.
Well, no, she gave me that. I thought
Yeah.
maybe she got that from
She
you,
sent,
but I'm not.
yeah, she sent a compromise, a similar thing to me. Yeah, so this is this is based off the language that I sent. She had a couple edits that she ran by me this week, and this is what we sort of hammered out.
You want to see this show?
I think you showed us already.
All right, yeah. It's a simple question. I don't see any problem. Of course we can. How'd the public hearing go?
It went well. It was about as well attended as like an average city council meeting, so it wasn't packed, but there were maybe 10 or 15 people there. And
Doesn't say what
As
You
soon as
know-
you start telling people, this is what we're gonna do, it's gonna cost this much money, you'll get packed.
the thing is, well, we did. We put it right in there. But the thing is, the format, I'd say, you know, when it came time for people to come up and do the public speak, most of what people had was questions
Yeah.
rather than.
Well, yeah, it is.
And it was questions that we knew the answers to. So, but you know, it was a public hearing, so we couldn't be doing back and forth. So it was kind of just a matter of me tracking everyone down the parking lot and being like, sorry, we didn't clarify that. With what you meant by that is this. So, you know, it was, but I think it was good. The slides are up online, so they're available.
Was it taped?
It was taped. So, you know, it's totally available. And I think it was generally pretty, pretty warmly received by the folks that were there. So, I mean, I think it went well. Just to clarify a little bit on this question 4, this would be a non-binding public policy question.
Does that have to be in the summary or anywhere?
I don't think so, but
I think it's important for the voter to know.
yeah,
You know, that's a question for Barb.
that's a
I
really
would like you
good
to ask her because
Yes.
these are binding questions.
I think so.
Yeah, I
This
mean,
is
they're
a
saying
non-binding.
yeah.
Should non-binding be here?
Yeah, I'm hoping that there's some way that we can, but the idea is that in Greenfield, that's how they did it. Greenfield is one of the only communities.
Did it have language like non-binding resolution?
I haven't been able to find an actual image of their ballot, but I do know all of their questions. It would say like non-binding question 1, non-binding question 2, on the return. Like I found like some of the the tape coming out of the town.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom, I would ask her if you would on Monday.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really
Because
good.
as I said to Joe before he came in, Dan Carey just told me that he thinks he can get this to the governor Monday.
Yeah, that's what he
And
told
if
me.
the governor would sign it, we can pass the ranked choice voting on Wednesday. So we're ready to go. She will make a new one up and a new agenda
Yeah.
up, should that be the case, Joe.
Right.
Right.
So
And
yeah,
one with signatures on it so that we could sign it. So you want to find out about non-binding?
Yeah, I think that's good. But I think that the important thing here is that in passing this, we aren't obligating that the city necessarily has to do any of this, but we're giving them the power to do it. We're giving the city the power to act on this.
Okay.
Can I
Uh-oh.
see it again? Do you mind?
I was
this
wondering
is
whose
the-
that was.
The most up-to-date one. And I basically took that language from a Wilbraham town meeting where they did a similar thing. So I figured the language.
Well, if it's non-binding, we don't have to worry about the legal ramifications, whereas the top ones, we have to get marks.
The thing is that while it's non-binding, it passing is a requirement if we want to
Right.
form a municipal light plant. But the rules, like the actual language on like that, are very broad. They're just saying, and then the voters need to approve it. This is language that voters have approved, so I figured it'd be fine.
Let's go back to, you said a sentence there that, did you say this, what you're looking for is the authority for the city to investigate it, or?
No, if the city wanted to do this, like just to give an example, what the city, if this was a thing, the city could establish an organization like this, bond for a budget, and set up an agreement with another municipality to do all the work. They would have the ability to do it. What a municipal light plant basically is like a nonprofit corporation that's owned by the city. But it has its own budget, it has its own revenue. The idea is that it's supposed to sustain
So
itself.
why aren't we educating the voters with a summary? Because I like what you just said. Why isn't that, like, we have a summary on everything else, on the other three. I'd like a summary. I think a summary wouldn't hurt. Like, this is a
Or it wouldn't help,
non-binding.
I guess is a good point.
All I'm saying is educate the voters to what they're
Right.
voting on.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
I
a good
think
idea.
if you could write a summary and say, why don't we put that in our motion that we would like a summary put into the ballot question? I don't see why not. There's nothing wrong with putting a summary. Everybody else, why are you, the summary, if this vote passes, this is what it means.
Yeah.
You know what you just said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Especially because, but I don't know if we
It's
can
non-binding.
vote on something, a summary without saying the wording.
Right.
No, we're recommending a summary be placed on the ballot, and we'll see it when we vote on it for the council.
Okay.
We're recommending the ballot question have a summary,
So council will be voting on this question, and.
but they'll see a summary because he's
on
gonna
summary,
write
There'll
it.
be a summary.
Right.
for
I
it.
do believe that we're required to send out a thing with some, like a breakdown of the ballot questions to everyone. Right? That's whenever you do a ballot question.
Well, this has summaries on it
Yeah.
for the ranked choice voter.
Yes,
you're
but
saying-
I believe, aren't we also required to send out a mailer?
I think for federal.
No, not, I asked her
Federal
that,
thing?
no.
Okay,
Not-
Barb had said something that led me to believe that.
That was a long time ago, but I don't think we are.
I don't
Okay.
remember last.
We haven't done it, we haven't done this, we had an override once.
Yeah, which are different, which are completely different, right?
Well,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy. Do you want to give the city the right to tax $750,000 more money? That's pretty
Yeah.
easy.
So what, I mean, I'm glad it would say non-binding, because when I read that, it sounds a little more definitive than what you are saying to me. This makes, when I read that, it
Yeah.
sounds like it's very much, if I say yes, then the city will do those things.
Well, right, it's saying we are expressing that the city of Easthampton, so maybe it's a should instead of shall. Or the voters are
Yeah,
expressing
that's true.
their opinion that the city should do this.
Shall
Right.
the city of Easthampton, that tells me it's, if they say yes, in your summary,
Right.
you need to say, a yes vote on this will give the city a non-binding opinion on whether or not we should pursue this telecommunication municipal light.
Right.
A yes vote is an opinion, because this is a non-binding
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah.
I think that word has to be in your summary. Okay,
Right.
non-binding. And what does a yes vote mean?
Yeah.
So, answer that question, what does a yes vote mean
A
again?
yes vote gives the city the authority.
Doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to, but we
Right.
now have the authority to,
Right.
in order to do this,
Right.
2 votes from the city council in 2 separate fiscal years, and then the approval of the voters. That's what, so
Right.
we've done the 2 votes by the city council in 2 separate fiscal years. If the voters approve this, we then have the authority as a city to fill out the paperwork with the Department of Public
Right.
Utilities to establish a municipal license.
See, that's all you need in there, but I also think you should include, the city council by law voted twice to approve this. Now the voters must vote, something
Yeah,
like that.
I think we'll have to talk probably to Barb about what, because I'm actually not clear what sorts of, like, summary language is or
Well,
is
if
not,
you look
like,
at the summary
allowed
language,
on, okay, yeah, let's see what.
in here, it gives you
Yeah.
a sense of what summary should do, okay?
Oh, okay,
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
yeah,
And a yes vote means, you want to put that, and we can't have it too long, it should be simple. What you just said was enough.
yes,
But you might want to include, the city council voted twice to approve this, as they must do by law,
right,
and this is a non-binding question,
okay, yes,
on whether you feel the city should,
Gives the city the authority to investigate, is that the words you were saying?
to establish.
To establish.
We can investigate whatever we want, we
Right.
can't establish
Right.
one of these
if,
without.
here's the thing, if the vote is no, and the mayor went ahead and did it anyway,
Mhm.
she has to answer to the voters, because they said no, because it's non-binding. In
Right.
other words, it's non-binding in both ways.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So,
Well, actually, the mayor can't do it.
The mayor
without-
can't, we won't,
Mayor's can't.
Really?
the public, Department of Public Utility requires that the people vote on this.
and so they have to vote yes.
Yes, or we can't do it.
So I guess and I'm just saying this from trying to, be devil's advocate, how could someone look at this incorrectly? And hopefully binding, non-binding will be enough, but if someone reads binding A, ranked choice voting, if I say yes, then that means ranked choice voting. If I say yes to 4-year term, that means that.
Yes.
So I'm afraid they're gonna read that if, part 2, if I say yes, then we're gonna have this. Versus yes means, it's not, we're gonna have it.
So,
but,
right.
Clarify so people don't think
Yeah.
yes means this is gonna happen, but yes means we can pursue it. And I don't know what the words are, but just so that people,
Right.
because people may
I
look
see
at it and
his
say, I
point.
don't.
Yeah.
I see his point, because yes or no on the ranked choice voting in the term
Mhm.
is yes or no.
Yeah,
This is non-binding in that it doesn't bind the city to do it.
Right.
That's what non-binding means. Doesn't mean
Yeah, so
we
it's-
have to create a
Yeah.
plan, but you're giving us the authority to do so if we should choose to do so.
Right.
So I think that's important. You gotta write some kind of
Yeah.
a summary when we vote on it, and ask Barb about it, because it has to be there. We have to
Yeah.
have something there.
Yeah.
yep, and there's,
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we have to do it Wednesday, because the ballot questions have to be done by October 1st.
yeah, okay,
Put
so
something together.
I'm gonna put something together,
And you and she can go over it, because
Yeah.
you know more about what you want in there, but I
Mhm.
think non-binding has to be in there, and as Joe said, this gives the authority, it does not bind the city to do so, but it gives the
Right.
authority to the city to pursue it should we want to, right?
yes, Okay, so I can write something up, and should we just pass this and then we'll
I move
amend
that
it
we pass ballot question 4 as submitted, with the caveat that there will be a summary attached when the council votes on it.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Joe, do you think it would be appropriate for me to send, like, write something up to run it by Attorney Tanner before?
If it's just a summary, I would say no.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Again, it's
Because I think he
non-binding.
composed the rest of the summaries, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he had to, that's law.
Yeah.
And those are binding questions.
right.
Yeah.
So-
This is, and they're far-reaching, their charter. This is an opinion, it's non-binding.
Yeah.
And the city could choose not to do it.
Right.
If you were voting a binding question, it would say the city has to do this. The city
Yes.
has to create a telecommunication, and whatever the cost is, we have to do it.
Right.
Which, to me, there's a budgetary implication, I guess, to this, and how are we gonna pursue it from a financial perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a mayor, a future mayor may say, wait a minute, let's wait until we figure out all the nuts and bolts of the finances on
Mhm.
this, et cetera.
Yeah.
That's again why I don't want someone reading it could interpret this means we're gonna do this because they're gonna think money, how much is this gonna cost me?
Yeah,
So,
I think that's
just so that
reasonable.
people realize that, no, we're not charging anything, it's just giving us the
Mhm.
authority to pursue it if we wanted to.
Yes. And,
All right, so
you know,
you're
yeah.
clear on what you want to
Mhm.
write?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll write something up and, I guess I'll bounce it off Barb and.
Well, write it up and say that the committee voted to put this summary in,
Yeah.
and we want to make sure that it's included with the ballot question, and I think it's appropriate. And she can't say no to that. If she says
No.
no, why?
But I agree. I think that, any feedback I could get.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I thought you were thinking that she would say we don't need a summary.
Yeah, I mean.
No,
it's-
if the rest of them have summaries, this should have a summary.
Well,
I haven't seen
people wanna
these
know
yet
what
somehow.
they're voting.
I would be
Move we
surprised
adjourn?
if the Gazette calls you anyway, so you probably want that summary.
Yeah, we've had a series of conversations.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, guys, it's Friday, and can I make?